Morning, everybody. I'm going to sketch out my peony today. Oop. And then I am going to paint some peonies. But right now I'm just kind of sketching out, just getting my pencil, giving it some action. My actual painting of this will not be this details. But I find I do really like getting the pencil to paper in my sketchbook. I just think it's good, like, muscle memory practice, you know? And this one. The sketchbook I'm working on today is the Lita medium-sized sketchbook. And I'm using Pentel Twist Erase mechanical pencils. Let's see. That one curls over. Let's have another one kind of peeking up here. And then we're going to have this one. Okay. Drawing first. I'm live. How are you, Tamu? And that's not to say you have to draw first, right? Like, I think it's good to just kind of get the ideas out. So as you are kind of painting loose, you know where the petals should be. You know kind of how the shape works. I apologize about all the Disney music if you can hear that in the background. My kids are arting in the other room, and they love to Disney up their playlist, so... What I'm doing right now is I'm going in and I'm adding what is called visual tension. Basically, I find all of the corners and connections or little divots, and I add a little bit more graphite or lead, whatever it is, whether you're working with ink, into those sections to make it pop a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm just going to add in some details here. I love visual tension. Honestly, it's like one of my favorite things because it doesn't require a whole lot of thinking on my part. It's just like one of those things where you can just put it down and it just does so much for a drawing or for anything, quite honestly, whether you're painting or inking or pencil or colored pencil. I just think it adds a lot. And I'm just going in and adding some light line work to those petals. and just reminding myself that flowers don't have perfect anything. They live in nature, and nature has a habit of causing a little bit of chaos. So flowers are going to reflect that, just as any plants or leaves or anything like that. Yeah, I know. You're hearing Madrigal family singing in the background. Yeah. Ah, well, it's keeping them busy and quiet, so you're all going to have to suffer a little bit. Unless, of course, you're a fan of Disney, and then no suffering, I guess. All right, I'm going to make a little bud up here. What did you make?
I'm starting up the mystery box.
Oh, the mystery box thing that you like to do?
Yeah, and this one's going to be the mystery.
Okay. Can you turn your music down a little bit in there?
Sure.
Thank you. Well, they're actually just playing the music. Good morning, Tracy. She's actually working on building clay blind box characters for when she goes back to school. My daughter is very creative. She and I did the Play School Artists tutorial with gummy bears yesterday. It was so fun. I really love this sketchbook. Honestly, I really give this sketchbook a lot of credit for getting me back into drawing again. I feel like this doesn't look like pencil, it almost looks like ink. And I'm actually in September going to be leaning into a drawing series. So I hope you're around to kind of see that play out. Doesn't it? It does look like ink, but it's lead. Amber Acorn, if you stick around, I will be doing loose watercolor in just I would say maybe like, I don't know, 15 minutes. I'm just sketching first. And this is there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, it's good for you to understand your subject. And going in with pencil and a sketchbook can sometimes be just super satisfying to get it down. Also, I know a lot of people kind of want to hang out and see the process. I did just post that 60-second tutorial, that time-lapse tutorial on my feed and also in YouTube. But I wanted to give people an opportunity to kind of see it come together live. So I wanted to jump in here, do some sketching. And then if people are still around, I will also paint, not maybe this, maybe something similar to this. Definitely not something in this detail, but definitely some watercolor work is coming up. But this is really great opportunity to really develop your composition and muscle memory. I know I was super intimidated when I first started painting. Drawing, I was super intimidated by drawing actually. And I leaned into learning how to paint first, very loosely, to feel like I could create something that wasn't trash. And actually went into drawing later once I had developed my confidence in painting. Isn't that weird? All right, we've got a leaf up here. I think we're going to sneak another leaf over here. And then I'm going to give those some little line work veins. We'll have a couple of leaves probably coming down this way. And then maybe, well, here we go. Oh, what was for dinner the other day? My husband made leftovers and the kids weren't super thrilled, which usually is the case. Trying to think of what was the leftovers that day. I think it was a mixture of pulled pork and other veggies and fruits and stuff from the fridge. I didn't mind. It was fine by me. I didn't have to do it. Let's have a couple more kind of sneaking up in the back here. Can kind of lean into these. All right, let me add some. I can't believe you remembered, Tamu. Well done. Almost there. You know what, Amber? Honestly, like I don't know. I feel like there's so many tutorials out there with watercolor that just feel accessible. Like they just feel more accessible than drawing sometimes. And until I could start to build up some practice with watercolor, I felt like I wanted to do a lot of those like really loose, sketchy doodle inks where you just draw a flower and you would paint over it in a very loose way, like abstract more than anything. And so I really had no idea what I was doing. Like I knew I could doodle-ish, but then I started, there's a artist called Danielle Donaldson. She's not as heavily active on social media. I don't know if she's even here on TikTok, but she does a lot of like very structured drawings, and her watercolor is loose. Like how she adds water to her paintings is very, very loose and intentional, but very loosely intentional, which has been really fun to learn from. I bought one of her courses this year, and I just have had zero time to practice any of it. Okay, let's add a few more leaves just to kind of finish it up. Oh, I keep going in too heavy. I don't work with, what do you call it? Mechanical pencils that much. So I gotta be lighter. Okay, we've got that. And then maybe, let's do a few more leaves kind of popping out this way. Just to kind of fill up the page, you know? Leaves are good for that. All right, so that up there. I don't know if I really need to do much more. I'm just going to add maybe a bit more visual tension in some of these spots. I could add veins to these leaves, but I think I'm just going to leave it. Oh, it's so good, right? It feels so satisfying to just see everything come together. Okay, so sketch is complete for today. Well, maybe not today. I'll probably end up doing more today, to be quite honest. This guy needs to be a little bit more defined from this guy. There we go. All right. I think we're ready. I think we're ready for the watercolor paintings. Okay. So let me change up my feet a little bit here. The hardest thing is to be simple. Honestly, I don't disagree with you. I think simplifying things can be really difficult, especially with watercolor, because I do paint so loosely. Once I learned how to draw, this is almost easier sometimes than painting. I'm going to pull this previous painting off, and we're going to go in on cold press paper. It's almost rough cold press. And it's a much smaller size than this. But again, I'm not really leaning into getting in this super detailed version. I'm really leaning into doing something very loose, but like composition implied. So 1, 2, 3 flowers. We'll do some leaves, and then we'll just kind of see where it goes. Okay. And then this paper is really not super good for like sketchies like this. if you ever want to paint watercolor and have it be this detailed, I can go over this sketchbook. This is the Lita Art Supply sketchbook. I can use paints on this in a very light wash. But then realistically, to transition this over to regular watercolor paper, you would probably want to use hot press. Hot press is the smooth version of watercolor paper. This is not the smooth version. This is the very loose, textured version that I honestly prefer. They're peonies, actually. They're just really like structured peonies. All right. You'll get better. There's no question in my mind. If you're passionate enough and you want to just keep going, you'll definitely get better. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get this sketchbook off the list here. I'm going to post my supplies, or at least move them up on the page. And we're going to move into, we've got this paint palette. This is what we're going to use today. It's one of my favorites, quite honestly. If I'm not using tubes or handmade paints, this is the one I seem to like to use the most. This is the Meeden Art Watercolor paint set. This has only 48 paints. I say only because I just saw an ad yesterday, I think from Chaos, who had both sides filled with paints. Like this side was filled and this side was filled, which that would have been like 96. Hi, Glitterby. Welcome, welcome. The painted pick you took off the block. Oh, this one? This is supposed to be a marigold. This one. This will be for one of my tutorials, but I haven't finished the tutorial yet, and so I've been really just kind of sketching out the ideas. This is not perfected yet, let's put it that way. It's a start, but I have a hard time with, I think anybody, to be fair, has a hard time with multi-layered petals, so I'm actually working on making this part of my 7-day series. This is one of the later days, though. It'll be later next week. This one will be posted, so constantly thinking ahead, friends. All right, so we've got that. And then the other thing that you will see in front of you here is going to be the Meeden. Well, it's not Meeden. Meeden sells it. This is the watercolor paper block that I'm using. It's actually Bauhung, even though it's labeled Meeden in the shopping list. And the reason for that is that they're both made from the same company. And Bauhung themselves are not on TikTok, at least not in a selling capacity. So Meeden sells their paper, and because they make both paper companies are both made in the same factory under the same expectations and quality settings, Meeden is the one who sells it on TikTok. So just to be clear on that, and again, this is very textured. It's cold press. Cold press paper is the like very textured paper, and it soaks in kind of like a sponge. So you're going to kind of see that as I work. Now, as far as brushes today, I think I might use a dagger brush today, because I love them so. They're my faves. Well, yeah, I think I'll have a little bit more control if I use my dagger. Okay, so this is my King Art Gold Dagger. Let me pin this one too so you guys can see what I'm looking at. I don't think I even have it on my shopping list of stuff. Let me check here. Let's see here. Thanks for being patient. This is a 1/4 inch dagger. I think Christy Rice and King Art probably have my favorite daggers. They're the ones I use the most. So here is one of their sets. This is a set of, oh, did that even pin? Hold up, there we go. This is a set of 4 daggers, and obviously whether you purchase actually this is the whole set. So $30 for 4 different dagger sizes, and this is a 1/4 inch. I love these paints. These paints right here are my favorite right now for any starter. They come with all the colors you would need. They come with a couple of shimmers. They come with some fluorescents. They come with a whole palette of colors that you can kind of play with. These all actually pop out of the pan. I haven't really done that much, but they do. They come out in like little blocks of 3. So if you want to move them to the other side, you can, or if you need to take them and make them mobile and you just want to take a little palette with you, you can certainly do that. So paper, Bauhung, King Art dagger, 1/4 inch, and this Meeden paint block. I'm going to leave the Meeden paint block or paint set palette pinned because that seems to be the thing people have the most questions about. So if you have any questions about anything else I'm working, you're welcome to ask. Okay, so we're doing peonies. I really like going in very light at first, very watery at first. I think I'm going to lean into pink. So I do have some pink over here in my palette. So I'm just going to add a bunch of water. It's going to be super duper watery. And it may not even be very very pigmented on the page to begin with, but that's okay. All right, so I'm leaning into this composition. It will not be this detailed by a long shot. I'm going in loose, but I'm leaning into the composition of having one here and two up here and here. So I'm going to start with, I think, the bulb on the top. We're just going to do a round little wet circle up here. And that'll be my bulb, and we'll play with color with that in a minute. We're going to do the same thing here, kind of in the middle. Let's see, mostly just going to do some really wet brush strokes, giving intention, not perfection. And you'll notice I'm not really connecting any of these brush strokes. I can go in and do that later. Right now, I just want to get the petal shapes down so I can go back in and play when I'm finished. And then we're going to pull this guy down. Pull it up. Same kind of idea here. And you can just go in with water too, as well. I don't need to repaint every petal that I have in my sketch because I can layer over this when I'm finished. And then this one's going to come out here as well. Good morning. We're working on a peony today, Josie. The other thing you can do is once you've laid down some water, you can go in and add a little bit of pigment here and there. This is called the wet on wet technique. And I want to definitely curl in a bit more there. Okay. And then we're going to do a big one over here on the side as well. I wiggle my brush a lot. And we're going to pull this up over here too. And another one over there. Okay. So there is that big peony that I sketched before. Oh, no worries. You're fine, Josie. No worries at all. And then down here, I'm going to have another peony as well. This one is pointing down, so it's going to be a bit more layered. Apparently, I picked up some green along the way. Look at that. Oops. Oops. Let's see. And then we're going to curl another bit over this way. And then this one's going to kind of curl around here. And yeah, I'm just going to add that little bit of red. This is going to probably be darkened up in here anyways. And again, I'm not really touching any of those petals with each other right now. The goal is to give intention so I can go back later and add more detail if I choose. Looks like this one has a bit of an underlayer there. This one seems to be going that way too. Okay. So these are much darker. I want to lift that out for right now. And by much darker, I mean there's like more puddle of color and it looks different compared to everywhere else. So I don't want it to look completely different. See, like I just added more there and I didn't even really mean to add that much. So let me lift that up a little bit. Lifting is when you take a clean dry brush or a dry-ish brush and lift some of the paint off your paper. There are certain papers that are better at this than others. All right, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to add a bit of a darker pink to some of the areas where I expect there to be more shadows. And then I'm going to leave it, maybe, possibly, we'll see. But while it's still wet, and some of these areas are starting to dry pretty quickly. So if that's the case, just add water and blend it out. And then you're starting to kind of see this come together, right? Like you can see the shadows, the really pretty pinks. We're going to definitely put it in here as well. We're going to add some more up here because this is where you're going to see some layers once it dries. I generally tend to keep a very transparent pigment. Like the first layer almost always sits in the middle of every petal or every leaf. So as I put pigment down, I'll put some on the top and on the bottom, on the top and on the bottom. Where the petal ends is where you'll see some pigment, and where the petal is hiding, you will see some more pigment. You'll usually see more pigment closer to the stem area. Okay. Oh, I'm so happy to do this, 8 Kraus. So happy. Thanks for the follow, Crow. The white space is always the most difficult problem. It's still a problem for me. Like if I come in here, I actually am looking at this right now and I like it, but I actually want it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to wet my brush. Okay. And then what I do is and this is not the like nicest way to do it, but I like to squeeze the water out. So like you can see there's some like water on my fingers. And then I go back in and I lift some of that. What that does for me is it controls the water in my brush. My brush is still damp, but it's not like puddly. I have control over how much paint and how much water is going in on the page. I think trying to figure out like those transparencies is always going to be the most difficult part in watercolor, especially at the beginning. Lift this up again. Like there's a lot of back and forth. I like to watch those bleeds, but I also like to see those transparencies. So a lot of it is very back and forth. Like right now, I'm super happy with this. I think you've got that like clear transparency layer right here. You've got a little bit of pink up here, a little bit of darker pink down here. I'm really going to be able to build up that peony bud. This one over here, I liked lifting that. Down here, it's a little wonky. I want to kind of fix this a little. That green got in there way too soon. So I'm just kind of scrubbing it with my clean brush. Again, I keep squeezing the water out. Like when I dip it, I keep squeezing it out with my fingers. You can use paper towel if you want. After I squeeze my fingers, I often wipe them on paper towel. I actually learned this from a portrait artist who did watercolor portraits, and she would do this all the time. Okay. Acorn, I'm not sure why, but your comments keep getting filtered, so I apologize if they're not popping right away. It is cold press Vision Designs. The cold press I'm using today is this. I'll pin it for you so you can see it. It's this, it's labeled as Meeden watercolor block, but it's actually Baohong. Baohong does not sell their product directly on the TikTok shop. So you're going to find Meeden selling it for them. They do it they make it in the same location, factory, same production standards, that kind of thing. So I did buy this particular paper block from my local art store. So the labeling of it or the design of it's different. So it looks blue, but it's the same exact paper as the green top. I buy them intermittently. It just depends on the deal. You know what I mean? Okay. So while I'm letting this dry, doesn't it? It looks so good. I can't wait. I'm going to go and start adding some leaves. I'll call you Carmen. You got it, Vision Designs. I do love this style because it doesn't need to be detailed for sure. Let's do that. So right now I've got, here's the painting, here's the sketch. The sketch is much more detailed. Obviously, the painting is very loosely designed with an intent of mimicking some of these shapes, but not directly connecting them. Okay. The cover of the sketchbook, Lita Art Supply, or the cover of my paper, Bao Hong Masters. So the green block that you see at the bottom of the page, that Meeden watercolor paper block, is the exact same paper as this. They just package it differently depending on what part of the world you live in. So I can buy it in this cover at my local art store, and I got a sale on it. That's why I picked it up. Or you can buy it with the green block. I don't know if I have any green blocks laying around. I know I have some red block. Oh, yes, I do have a green block. Here, I'll show you. So here's the green block. This is just a bigger size, but it's the same exact paper. And you can see like it's got like the similar texture that the other one has. You're so welcome. No problem at all. This is my favorite paper. Like I'm not using this paper all the time. I just love it so much. I love cold press. I love the bleeds. I love how it looks on the paper. I like how the paper soaks it in right away. If you're working with hot press doesn't do that. It soaks it in eventually, but it takes a lot longer to do. Let me see if I can find an example for you. Of course I can't find it. Oh wait, yes I can. Oh wait, no I can't. I just did a couple of illustrations not that long ago on hot press that looked really nice, but the paper is very different. Is this one? Nope, it's still not that one. It's always when you're looking for it that you can't find anything, you know? This just goes to show you how much I prefer cold press over the others. Anywho, as soon as I find it, which I'm sure I will when I'm not looking for it, I will show it to you. All right. But it's very smooth. It's smooth almost like this kind of smooth. But this is obviously a sketchbook, not intended to really be used for watercolor. It can be. I can put watercolor in that, but this is different. Yeah, I agree. I think hot press is really good for the fine detail. It's also better for sketching. Like to try and sketch on this paper can feel a little jagged and wonky, and it can be harder to erase off of this paper. So I will sometimes sketch with colored pencil because I know it's going to blend in with the paint anyway. So I agree with you, Sonia. All right, let's go and do some leaves. So my leaves in the original sketch, I need to look because I want to make sure I'm mimicking it enough. So I've got a couple of leaves hanging out down here. And I've got, let's see, 1, 2 on this side, 1, 2 on this side, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, something like that. So we're going to use that to kind of do this. Now, I've already kind of lost some space, so we'll just kind of work with it. What I love about dagger brushes, these ones in particular, is they're really great for leaves. Really, really great for leaves. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of green to the bottom of this guy. I like the bleed on the bottom of bulbs because it implies that there's like leaf growth. And some of these peonies have a little bit of that anyways. Like you'll see the green leaf bleed into the actual peony. All right, so let's just go in. I'm not going to be as precious with my watercolor transparencies here, partially because I just love to build up these leaf colors and I don't really care as much if they look as good. I feel like the peony is a little bit more important to me because of the details. All right, I'm going to come back to this bud. This bleed got a little bit out of control, so I'm going to pull it back. So I'm going to go in with my wet brush before it gets too out of control and just lift.
Can we start up the oven when you're done with your live?
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. Okay, so I'm just pulling that back. I've got my pink back a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit more pink in here to remind this little flower of what it's supposed to be. But again, I'm going to lift. I loved that bleed, and then I had too much water in here. I had more water in here than I thought I did. So that's partially why. Just going to really pull from that middle. And then I'm going to try and put some more pink back on the top because I really loved that a lot. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. Fixable. Totally fixable. And I don't really have a problem with lifting on cold press. All right. And then this guy, I'm definitely going to need a leaf here, but I'm going to leave that alone because that's all pretty wet. And then over here, I had this taller, but we'll do a little one maybe this way. So working with the size paper I have. Just play a little bit here. And I always try and go in a little lighter than maybe I end up going. Like I usually will just pick darker pigments at the end to add to the piece. Okay. Are you planning on leaving spaces between the petals? No, I will be. Once this dries, basically what I'll do is I'll do a glaze and it'll start to kind of connect those spaces. You can absolutely do that. And that's, for some people, that is intentional, but I probably won't do that. Fellow artist here, question about how you record your live videos. Do you use any special equipment? Yes. So there's a couple of things that I use. I will lift this up while this is drying anyways. I just use this stand. This is probably my best friend when it comes to recording. I think this is from Canva, but it has the magnetic bit here for my the back of my phone that has the MagSafe. And so basically it just clicks on. So that's the first thing. I do have an overhead projector, but it's just too wiggly. Like I will use it for like full-on tutorials, but I don't like to use it for these because I can't see comments and it wiggles way too much. Sorry, my throat is like super scritchy right now. The other thing that I use is a mic system. The mic system that I'm currently using is Mayano. I'll show you. It's this, and it comes with a couple of things. It comes with these magnetic mics, which there's two of them. The one I'm wearing right now, and then obviously that one. And right now they're both kind of going, so there might be feedback. This here basically magnetizes behind. So you can just push this on your shirt and it'll magnetize in the back. You just put the magnet behind on the other side of your shirt. So I'm gonna put this back so there's not like double feedback. I don't know if there is or not, but this is a more expensive company to use, but it's been the most effective at keeping the crunchy, weird feedback tones from coming into my lives. So I'm a super fan of this. It does come with, hold on, I wanna make sure that you guys can see all the parts. So my sound quality might go down for a second. Can you guys still hear me? I hope you can. Okay. So this is the thing that you would put in the bottom of your phone. And basically each of these light up depending on which mic you're using. So when this is plugged into my phone, it connects the mic directly to my phone and then makes this obviously work a little bit better. So I'm going to put this back in and then you'll kind of hear the difference between me not using a phone with a mic system and me using a phone with a mic system. Okay, we should be back in. And then what you can also do is you can cut out like extra feedback noise if you want. I do think I have this listed in here. I first started off using a different system. It wasn't a bad system, but I kept hearing weird crunchy feedback that I did not enjoy. So if you're interested, I just pinned it. I'll pin it for a few more minutes and then I'll change back over to my watercolor florals. I hope that answers your question. I know that as an artist, it's sometimes hard to know this stuff because we don't have that background, a lot of us. A lot of us are just kind of figuring things out for ourselves and hoping for the best and sometimes using each other to understand how it all works. So I totally get it and understand. For me, having a good mic system has been, it's honestly, it's just made, it's a relief. Like it helps me feel better when I come on here and do these lives. Okay. All right. So what I'm doing now is going back in excuse me, I'm going back in and just adding different tones to these leaves to give them a bit more interest. Now, obviously, the wetter your paper is, the more interesting and the less control you have as the paint moves. So that's dry. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water next to that line. And then it starts to blend in a little bit and look a little bit more realistic. Okay. Okay, perfect. I'm so glad that helped. Art by Natalie. It's just hard. Like we just don't know things. Like we're here for the art, but we have to do all the things, and that can be overwhelming. So I like to just let people know what I'm doing as best as I can. And obviously, what works for me isn't going to work for everybody. But if it can help you, or at least give you some guidance onto where you want to go next, I'm here for it. Okay. So we're just going to add a few more leaves kind of coming down here for the composition that I initially sketched. There's one kind of tucked behind this one as well. This is dry now. This is all dry. So I will be going back in a few minutes. This here, I definitely had another leaf kind of pulling up this way. And then I had one tucked down in here. I might just have to like hide it behind the leaf because I just don't have enough room. I love adding bleeds to the leaves. It's never disappointing. Can I just say that?
This pierce is a part of the spooky pack.
Oh, cool. I love that you've got different packs. It reminds me of
I ran out of regular skin tone, so he's a ghost.
Oh, you could also do aliens and monsters. Monster pack. My daughter's making blind boxes, or blind bags, I should say. Okay, so then I had another one that I had kind of swirling out this way. We'll just kind of tuck it back this way and we'll work from there. Like that. And I got to get that green back in here though. That really like light lime green. Okay. Yes. Look how good that is. Okay. And then I'm going to leave that be for a second. Actually, I am going to blend this out because that looks a little bit too dark. Here we go. And then we'll just curl that down. So it's still in the composition. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this wireless mic pin, and I'm going to put my paint back up because this is the most common question I am asked. I would argue you can use any paint you like. I don't think the paint matters as much as the paper does. That being said, this paint palette by Meeden is absolutely my favorite. I use it all the time. It's super convenient. It comes with 48 colors. I don't have to worry about mixing. I can mix. Obviously, I do. But I don't have to worry about it. I got a shimmer palette up here. I have floral or fluorescent palettes here. And then everything I need is here. So this is the black, grays, and browns. These are all the greens. Obviously, I use it. You can see these giant holes in the middle. These are all the blues. These are all the purples and pinks, reds and oranges, and then like red, brown, yellow. Like this is like sepia, umber, and then peaches and yellows. This hits the spot for me. It's got everything I need. I love the colors. You can see they look really good, especially the greens. You know, if you know me at all, green's my favorite color. And you can just see on the paper, look at those colors right there. Like, look at how they're kind of like separated and granulating out. I just love that so much. I have not had a bad experience with this paint set, not once. So I would argue this is a really great paint set to start with if you're looking to start with watercolor paint. What's up, Boo? Just waving and saying hi? Can you stop holding that, please? It's not your like weird cane. He's using some of my video equipment that I don't actually use very much, and he's walking around with it like it's his cane. I have a, for those of you who are interested, I have a 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old. And they are often hanging out and watching me paint while I'm on these lives. And he's bored, so that's what's happening. So if you hear me chatting, that's what's happening. I do use Meeden regularly. I do. I would argue the only thing about Meeden that I'm not like, and I like them, but I'm not in love with them. Some of their brushes are better than others. Like I have a couple of sets here that I really do like. Like I like this set, this like really pretty blue set. I don't think I have it on my feed or my shopping cart. You can go looking in my showcase if you want. I really like the Meeden quill brushes, but of course I moved them because I don't know where they are right now. But a quill brush is basically, where are you? Dear goodness gracious. I can't find you when I need you. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Okay. So this is a quill brush. I love the Meeden quill brushes. They're super light and functional, and they're a lot of fun. This is really the one set from Meeden that I love the most. The other one I showed you is fine. It's like student grade. This one here feels like intermediate grade. I really love these brushes. They're in my showcase. I don't think I have them linked here though. Thanks, Carrie. Lots of practice. Okay, so I do have thoughts on Graby. When I first started on TikTok, Grabby, I'm not even sure how it's pronounced. I think that they're great for beginners. I think that there's a lot of potential there to really like, in an affordable way, use those materials. I think one of the things that bothered me when I first came onto TikTok was I found that Graby kind of had the market on all art supplies. And it was frustrating to me because any work I had done with Graby was fine, but it didn't excite me. And I wanted the opportunity to work with materials that excited me, and Graby just didn't. So is there anything wrong with Graby materials? Not at all. I think they're fine. Most of my art friends that I know, we're not painting with Graby. We're just not, or Grabby, or whatever it's pronounced to be. We're painting with Meeden. We're painting with core paints. We're painting with Fumui brushes, Meeden brushes, Christy the Painter brushes. Like my crew of watercolor artists, that's where we lean. We lean on those products over the others. I just think Graby hit the market faster in the TikTok shop area than all of the other art companies. They're just really good at selling their product. And I can respect that. I just don't use them very much. I just wasn't excited about it. And I love to be excited about art supplies. Art supplies excite me in a way that that my husband gets frustrated because it means spending money on art supplies and going to my favorite art support like stores. And like sometimes he'll creep on me and he'll be like, "Oh, you're at the art supply store? That's shocking." And I'm like, "Shut up." But yeah, so that's what I would say, user 142. I don't think they're bad products. They're just not for me. They don't excite me. Let's see. Well, Carrie, follow along. Follow me and my friends. We're all on we want everyone to love art supplies and watercolor too. So I am doing a tutorial tomorrow with my friend Chelsea Designs, and she and I are going to be doing, I think we're doing pond. So I'm going to be doing something with maybe lily pads and koi fish, and I'm not entirely sure what she's doing yet. And then Thursday, Jerry Creates and I are going to be doing pumpkin florals. And that will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The first one with the Pond Sea Life is going to be Monday. And the pumpkin florals is going to be Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Carrie, most husbands I know hate craft stores, unless they themselves are crafters, right? Carrie, did that answer your question for you? I hope it did. Okay, let me go in with my heat gun. Now, here's the deal with the heat gun. They are not required. They are not necessary. They are convenient. So if you're choosing to get a heat gun, it's to pick up speed on the work that you currently do. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's helpful. I love having it for my lives so that I don't have to work tandem on multiple pieces at the same time and spend forever on one piece just to wait for it to dry. Please don't hurt yourself with that, okay? So this one is a Chandler heat tool gun. I'll show you really quickly. I think I have it in mine. Again, just to be clear, I don't think these are required. I think they're convenient, especially if you're an artist who wants to go live and paint in front of people. You want to pick up the speed, right? You want people to hang out. So there we go. This is mostly dry now. I'm using the very professional way of checking to see. This is still a little wet, isn't it? No? Okay. I'm going to go over on my second layer. I did get a little bit of paint there. That's okay. I'm not too worried about that. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do a bit more highlighted detail on this flower. A darker pigment. It's not going to be super dark because I don't want to lose some of that like really light transparencies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tip of my dagger to go in and just darken up some of these layers and maybe add more layers. So like the impression of more petals, kind of like that. Like even here where there's like that white space, I might add another petal over that spot like that. Okay. And then even down here, darkening up and closing that gap a little bit so that it's not as distinct or taking over in the piece. Even down here, I would do the same thing. Okay. And then I'm going to go back up into here and just kind of outline some spots with the tip of my brush. Still trying to maintain, and this is the hardest part, still trying to maintain those transparent underneath layers. And then I'm going to come over here and add a bit of an outline there with like a feathery brush stroke from this dagger. Like that. Oh, thank you, Tamu. That's the kindest thing you could say. Yes, I would love to tell you. Okay, so Chelsea Designs. That is the first one. Bindi Desai Art. Now, Bindi Desai, I want to spell that for you. It's B-I-N-D-I. And then Desai is D-E-S-A-I, art. And Bindi does more abstract work, but her work is super accessible. And I think she does like online Zoom tutorials teaching people how to do abstract florals, which is super fun. Trying to think of some other people. Art by Lindsay. Art by Lindsay. She does mostly landscape watercolor minis, but she's lovely. She's just such a motivating and lovely person. And Lindsay is L-Y-N-Z-I. So Art by Lindsay. Other ones that come to mind would be the Lavish Brush. She doesn't do tutorials, but her work is so inspiring. She does beautiful work with birds. It is Mackenzie Childs. Good catch. So quick story. I know some of you have heard this before. This Mackenzie Childs bowl was bought when I turned 30. So I'm 46 now. I think it was like 16 years ago. And I had no idea who Mackenzie Childs was. I was like, this is a really pretty little bowl. Thank you. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. Like, I was just like, oh, this is nice. So I like, and my friend was like, oh no, this was really expensive. I'm like, this little bowl was really expensive. And she's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh, thank you. But I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, this is very nice. And I appreciate you. And so literally it sat on a shelf doing nothing for ages. And what I ended up doing when I started learning how to watercolor, which was less than 16 years ago, when I started watercoloring, I was like, that's a really cool bowl for watercolor. And is it dirty? Yeah. Is it probably not what it's meant for? I'm sure it's not what it's meant for. I don't care. I love it so much. It's such a vibe. And it's a conversation starter. No matter what I'm doing, someone almost always is like, are you putting your dirty paint water in that bowl? And my answer is always yes. Isn't it awesome? So yes, Sea Spark. Absolutely. Okay. I really don't want to do too much more to this flower because it's going to start to lose that, like those light pink layers that I first started with. Yes, the love and energy. Like it's getting way more attention now than it ever got. I'm going to go back into these leaves. I definitely want to pop some more layered line work on this as well. But since I just picked up the green, we'll do that. I think we're going to keep this pretty smooth along the edge. These leaves are generally pretty straightforward. They don't have a lot of jagged edges. So we're just going to kind of leave it like that and add a bit more darker tones. And I don't have to mix for this. I can just take it right out of the pan. Yes, friend. I sketched first today. I did sketch first. If you're not following Alexis below, the Play School Artist, is someone you should follow. She does amazing tutorials, Carrie. She does at least one tutorial a week, if not 2 or 3. She's a kindergarten teacher by day and an artist in her, whole personality. So I can't recommend following her enough. She makes me laugh, and she just has all the good vibes that you could possibly want. So definitely check her out. And the woman deals with kindergartners all day long. That alone should give you a reason to follow her, because we all know how difficult those children can be. They're cute, and there's a reason for it, because otherwise, whew, I'm not stopping anything. Not a chance. Not a chance, friend. I adore you. Okay. And I'm sorry I missed your live last night. I did see it, and I'm like, I want to, but I would have the audio off and I couldn't chat with you. So, all right. These leaves look pretty good. I do want to do what I did up here a little bit more down here. Alexis also was a big fan of the Mead palette. Alexis is the Play School Artist. She and I have both discussed how much we love it. So no big deal. Alexis, you and I still need to do that tutorial together, because I still want to see, what was it? Was it a bee with a balloon? Friend, I want you to teach me. Teach me. All right, let us, okay, just like that. This is bothering me. You guys see it? Do you guys see that little yellow spot? I've got 2 options. Well, I'm sure I have more options than that. I can go over this with another leaf, which I might just do. Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I could also clean this up. Like, this can also be cleaned up with magic eraser sponge, but I think I'm just gonna go in with and make another leaf. Let's be spontaneous. Like that, and then that. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Hey.
I made a witch.
Ooh. I'm very excited for all these little creatures you're making. I will turn on the oven when you are done designing, because they're all going to go in at the same time, I think. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like when they go in the oven, am I allowed to do more while I wait for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how many do you have made right now?
Around like 5 or 6.
Okay. Okay. Oh, Alexis, guess what we did yesterday? I was just telling the gummy bear tutorial. My daughter and I did the gummy bear tutorial. Maggie, go get those. I'll show you, Alexis, if you're still here. Let's see. It is the bee's knees for sure. Ooh, I like Andrea. Is she the one who she's friends with Lacey? Is it those 2 ladies? No, we're not doing Yupo. Not a chance. No Yupo. Yupo is like, my son just asked, what is Yupo? It's like a plastic paper where it's like there's no soaking. Like, they don't soak into the paper at all. It's like water puddles over the top. Or weren't they on the counter or on the fridge?
I didn't check the fridge.
Check the fridge. Maybe they're on the fridge. Or check the other counter. Because the last time I saw it was on the middle counter. And now they're not there. Check the outside counters. See if they got laid on the side somewhere. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Keep looking. You have 1 job. Okay, you have more than 1 job, but
I'll check the fridge.
Take a few more minutes to look. And if you can't find it, you can't find it. It's fine. Let's see. You can magic eraser this stuff for sure. Okay, I'm just going to do it. Are you ready? Let me show you how I would magic eraser. So let me make sure I have some accessible. So basically what I do is I just rip a chunk off a magic eraser block. And I'm going to rip this too, because these are cleaner on the inside. Okay. Thanks, friend. And what you would do here is, let's say, I'm not going to really like destroy myself here, but let's say I put that on there. And I'm like, no, I just ruined it. Let me dry it. I'm going to dry it too, just to prove my point. Just to prove my point. Okay, it's dry. All right. So I'm just going to take this. I know this is a little bit dirty, but it's not that dirty. I'm going to take this and dip. See, it's not that dirty. And I'm just going to dab without messing up my whole painting because I just put a giant puddle on here. Dab, dab, dab. Dab, dab, dab. I better not be proven wrong on this. I'm going to be so annoyed. Dab, dab, dab. Okay. And then I go back in and I scrub it with the other side. And you can do it as many times as you need to. Dab, dab, dab. And it will take out most of that stain. Look at that. It's almost completely gone. Though it is tempting me today. Boop. Maybe it's because I used the heat gun. It was like, really? Really? You're going to use the heat gun with me? I'll prove you wrong. It's barely even there. And if you really hate it, you can always go back and do a background, which I won't because I'm not really that bothered by this at all. It's light enough. But you can really go in and really clean up some of the mistakes that you make with this. Just, you know, don't be a jerk and test it like I did with the heat gun. That's all. We're doing witchcraft and wizardry this morning, y'all. Yes. Oh, for sure. Definitely. Definitely better than that. Okay. How much do I have left to do? Oh, this one is cleaner. Oh, this one is cleaner. It's also, what did you dip it in?
I didn't dip it in anything.
You didn't?
I just saw right over there behind
Let's see.
this.
I'm going to scrub it up one more time.
I just found it behind this, and I'm like, this could be useful.
It could be. Look at that. It's almost completely gone. You wouldn't even know. Except that I did it in front of you and almost embarrassed myself by having it not disappear. Now, obviously, the more you scrub into the paper, the more you could potentially wreck the paper. But because it's cold press, you don't really notice it that much because it's already so textured. So this could be useful. Don't do it. Never give up. I mean, never feel like it's a bad idea to rip up a painting. Sometimes you just need that for personal, like, emotional satisfaction. Like, sometimes it feels really good to rip something up. And that's cheaper than, you know, going to your therapist and having them worry about you. Can't find it? Okay. But quite honestly, this is an easy fix. And they're not super expensive. I'm guessing you could probably buy one at your local Dollar General. So I think the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go into this guy. Alexis, I'm not using mixed media today. Are you impressed? Who knew it was possible? Who knew? And what you can do here on this bulb guy is you really can lean into adding like those layers as well. And then just doing some little bit of line work and adding shadows in certain spots. Like even here, I'm going to wet this up. I could have a little petal kind of popping off the side like it's ready to make an entrance. And suddenly it looks a little bit more interesting. Good morning. It is cathartic. I do like ripping up my art sometimes. There are just some times where I need to like just look at something and be like, no, this isn't good enough. And it's going to feel better for me to just get rid of it than to sit and try and fix it or to save it for another day. I don't have the patience, like as messy as I am, I don't have the patience to like take like previous art pieces and do scrapbooking. It's just like the amount of paper and stuff all over my desk, it would give me anxiety. And my art desk is messy enough as it is. So sometimes you just gotta do the thing and make yourself feel better deep down. Thankfully, there was no paint on that as I like rolled it through. Let us see what is left. Thank you so much, Jamie. Let me see. I just want to make sure I'm hitting all the comments. If there's anything else. Toodaloo. I understand avoiding future Alexis. I am avoiding future Christine, who has to start setting up her classroom this week. So, all right. I think this is finished. I don't think I really need to do much more with this. I'm just going to lift it off the page so you guys can see how that works. Let me just show you. So these paper pads, I know you do. I know you love my mixed media. So these paper pads are in block form. So here's how this works. Basically, they're glued completely down to this piece of cardboard. And what they have is basically one little opening, and it's around. You have to look around the edges because it's all glue all the way around until you get right here. So you see the glue line here and the glue line here. There's a space in which you can lift this paper off the pad. Now, I have a little messy splooch right there I just saw. Magic eraser time. My son's ready. He's like, here, let me do things for you. Thanks, boo. I gotta squeeze it out or it'll puddle too much. And we'll do that one. And then if I'm bored, and I do this sometimes, guys, if I'm bored, I'll just grab this painting and paint a background with it just because it's fun. And it's good for the soul to just paint randomly with no purpose or reason. And that's what a background is for. Okay, good enough. All right, as I was saying, I'm going to go ahead, not this side, and I'm going to stick my palette knife, my dirty palette knife. You can use a butter knife. You can use a flat ruler. You can use any flat surface. You could use a credit card. And basically you stick it underneath that little flap and you roll it through all the way around like this to lift it off the pad. Don't be like me and try and do it without a flat surface for way too long of your art career and then nearly rip every page. It's happened many, many times. And then voila, she is finished. And any of these empty spaces, I think someone asked me about that before. Like, do you leave the empty white lines between? Most of the time, no, because I usually layer over the top. But what you can do is you can do something called a glaze, where you just take wet, whatever. It can be wet paint. It can be wet water. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to have pigment at all. Basically, you just run your brush over the entire flower, and it connects everything together so it doesn't look like it's separated. Just don't go over it too many times or you will lose what's underneath. Okay, so I'll do it up here too. And by doing that, it feels a bit more connected. It doesn't feel like there's all of these white lines in between. And again, you can go over it with a light wash so it doesn't look white going down, but this is called glazing, where you go in with a super watery wash and just go over the top. And all of those, or some of those, or most of those little white separated lines get reconnected. Oh, good question. If I did a background, what color would I do? Well, I'm thinking for this one specifically, I might do a mixture of something warm, like warm toned. I'm thinking like earthy browns and yellows, maybe with a little bit of green, maybe like an olive green, because I don't want it to be matchy match with this. So I might add like, let me see. My son is like hovering and waiting for me to be done. Do you mind if I do a background? You're okay with it? You're not okay with it? That's too bad. This will only take me a couple minutes. Okay, so let's go in. We're going to just use his palette. He's so sad. He's like, sadness. He's laughing, but he's like, darn it, darn it. All right, let's do, I said that olivey green. So we're going to mix though. So we're going to come over here and we're going to mix up this color and we're going to make it a bit more olive colored, a bit more olive toned. And maybe add some darker browns to it. Oh, my itchy nose. Kind of like that tone right there. Okay. So what I would do is I would go around like this. And you don't have to use tape. You can use tape, but tape ultimately is difficult because unless it's taped down to something that you can move, you're going to have a hard time moving the paper all the way around as you go. So what I would do is I would lay down a color like this, and then I would go back in and maybe add a little bit of green in other spots and then kind of blend it out with water. This isn't going to take me that long. Jeepers, man. You're fine. I'm just going to add some green to that in here and just build up those olive, yellow, green tones and just keep adding water. The thing with doing a background is that you got to work quickly for a couple of reasons. You don't have to, but it does make this easier. So like in here, I'm going to want to make sure these bleeds are happening pretty quickly. I'm not going to pay very special attention to the white outline here. I'm just going to let it be. But I need to make sure I'm hitting this up like that will dry. And if I don't get at it, you will have that little line there, that little bloomed line. Let's add a bit more green up here. Give it a puddle so it doesn't dry. And then I'll come back over here and we'll add some of this yellow, I think. And then just kind of spread that out. I always like to do a background in 2 colors. But this is preference, right? Like you can pick what you like most. Do some more of this yellow up here. It's also just good for practicing your painting skills and ability to paint kind of like coloring in lines or coloring around the lines, as it were. And dagger brushes are great for this because you just have so much versatility in how it comes together. So you can see I'm kind of getting into those little teeny tiny spots with the top of that dagger brush. Let's get some more green back in here. This green, I love this green so much. It's like my favorite color in the whole palette. It's like almost bare bones right now. If you look at my paint palette, it's almost completely empty of this green. It is not my full-time job, actually. I am a teacher of 6th grade math students. So right now I'm finishing up the last week at home. So this is my last week at home. And then next week I will be in my classroom prepping for the lovelies to return. I know it's weird. You're like, wait, you don't teach art? No, I don't. Just here. Let me add some more greens down in here because I just love the tones that it gives. Look, dude, I'm almost done. Do you see? I'm more than halfway there. Don't give me that look. Let's get some more of that yellow here as well. And then just add some water and move it around. And feel free to go back up in other spots and add more pigment on what you've already laid down. But I appreciate you guys all hanging out with me today. I think Sunday mornings are my jam, especially when school starts back up. I think I might do this as a tutorial time. If you guys are all interested and would like to come back and hang with me, I just think it's the easiest time around the house to just kind of get some quiet time with my art. And I mean, I'll still do lives during the week, but if I'm going to do a tutorial, which I think people want, I think people like the idea of hanging in and seeing how a painting comes together from start to finish. I think this time might be a good one. It might have to change occasionally from time to time based on, sometimes we take my daughter to go see her counselor on Sunday mornings, like my husband has her right now. So on those days when it's my turn, it might be a little later in the day. But if you're willing to stick around, we'll start making this a regular time. Look how pretty this is turning out to be. Please do this as a tutorial. Okay. I'm going to pop this in back here. Almost done. Got the last less than a quarter left. And then just to, you know, keep my schedule super hectic, I also crochet in my quote unquote free time. Like when it's nighttime, I don't like to paint very much because my eyes don't really feed on the colors as well. Like I just don't see the colors the way I want to. Even with like your standard lighting for like live stuff at night, I just don't like it. So often after we get the kids into their bedtime space, or if we're hanging out and just doing like TV time, I'll crochet and I make amigurumis. Oh, you're so welcome. If you're not following me over on YouTube, I am starting to try and like load up more tutorial style things. Right now, they're not live voiceovers. They're more like with music, but it's there for you if you'd like it. And then you can listen to whatever music you like and watch me paint. And then there we are. Done and done. Look how pretty that turned out to be. And it all started with a sketch. Amigurumis are little like stuffy like animals that you would make from, here, Sebastian, can you go get me the Yeti over there in the shelf?
Yeah. This was your basic one?
This was one of my first ones. So this is an amigurumi. And this was from a Woobles kit. But now I do my own patterns from Etsy with my own yarn. And isn't it cute? Super cute. Okay, so as far as like how we came from that, like where did we come from? Like where did we start today? So we started in my sketchbook where I basically sketched out a composition just to get the creative juices flowing. The intention here was not to create something exactly like this, but to inspire what my composition would be. And then we ended up here. So we did all of this in my live today. So we started here. You guys watched me sketch this out. And then loosely without the sketch, I painted this. This is my original drawing as my inspiration. So if you guys are digging this, why don't we plan on, I have done Woobles, yes. Why don't we plan on doing this maybe every Sunday? We'll do maybe intermittent like 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And if need be, maybe 4 o'clock, depending on if we have plans with the family that we've got going on in the morning. But look how lovely this turned out. I can't even say enough about how happy I am with this. It turned out so pretty. I would absolutely do this again for sure. So any hoodle, thanks for hanging. I'm going to scoot. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And I'm here. I'm on this app being very busy. So yes. All right. They're so awesome. Definitely. Bye, Amber. Bye, Tamu. Could I glaze the lines? I could, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it for right now because do not touch this, please. I have children hovering over me and they are ready for me to be done here. So understood. All right. Okay. Bye, guys. See you next time.